What's going on, guys? It's Justin here with the Juke Joint. Tonight we have Tyler Carpenter, who most of you probably know. So just stay tuned after this little prompt, and we will be right back. Tyler, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you see me with my new hat?
Is that the thing you got?
Yeah, that's what I ordered.
Oh my
Yeah,
stars, that's hilarious.
yeah. I was with Ichthus and Britt the other day. We were talking about it. I was like, I should get a chef's hat to wear for it. I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna do this. I was
Oh my
like,
gosh, I dig it.
yeah, so I figured it out. So, hey, man, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm tired. I've been at work slash also trying to buy a house, so it's been stressful. I am poor, but we're doing good.
So everything's normal, basically, is what you're saying.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, I'm like used to being poor, but like I'm now poorer, and
It's
I'm
like
not.
the system from It's Always Sunny. You're new poor.
Yeah. Exact. My wife calls it. She goes, "Don't worry." I was like, "We're poor." She goes, "Well, we're house poor." And I was like, I don't like being house poor. I think I'd rather just be poor. Just poor. There's less
Uh,
responsibility.
hey, it builds character, right?
Yeah. Something like
Hey,
that.
yeah. So anyway, I mean, we'll definitely get into a little bit talking about chefs and your upcoming projects.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
everybody knows, pretty much from Draw and Talk, and knows that. Well, for most of the people that know me too, know that I'm here more so because of you. Because we started talking and chatting and getting connected within the indie community a couple years back, and
Yeah, it
just
was like
like,
what, 2, 3 years ago now?
yeah, I was gonna dig up the tweet, but it's really buried in there.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I was like, a message I just sent you just about sending me a script because you did a video about how artists don't finish, like you'll send them scripts and they never finish it. So I was like,
Mm-hmm.
well, stuck a drawing. Why don't I just tell him that if he can send me a script and if it's good enough, he can use it. And if not, whatever.
Uh-huh.
And then that's how it got from there. But hey, I got a couple people in the chat, Cavalry Collective. I got Dio Brando here. What's going on, guys?
How you
Um,
doing, Paul? How you doing, Dio Brando?
Alrighty. So let's talk a little bit of the chef's idea. Now, I mean, I was going to surprise you a little bit,
Yeah.
um, because the idea for chefs. Well, you go ahead and give us where the idea came from.
Yeah, well, so chefs stands for Culinary Heroes Earth Force. Um and then everyone's always like, "What's the S stand for?" I'm like, "It's just there's it's plural." Like, is it seven? There's seven of them. I'm like, "No, it's just Culinary Heroes Earth Force." And then
Superhero.
yeah, superhero. Like there's multiple of them. And what it is, it's just about these superheroes and supervillains who they get their powers from culinary items like food, like everything's food based. So the main character in this first book is Dairy King, and he's like Superman, except he has to drink milk in order to keep his powers going. Otherwise, he just can't keep it going. And for those who read the 12 pager comic, when he gets smacked down really hard, he says, "Oh, I need," like he says, "milk. I need milk." Um, because he's just been hit hard. That's the only way he's gonna rejuvenate himself.
But
And
using like the old milk, like what do you call the promotions they use, like milk, and then have them drink it, be like it does the body good.
yeah, exactly. Um, and it's funny because like I'm lactose intolerant. Like milk, like freaking hurts me. Um, so it's kind of funny. That's the route that I went with DK with Dairy King. He goes by DK in the comic. And so I built so how it came about, and I did a Patreon video on this. And I found the original Google Doc, which I made in 2018, and I literally was with my wife, and I was just like, what if like the MCU was filled with all these food superheroes? And so I literally just went like Captain America, what would I call him? What would I call the Hulk? What would I call Thor? And I literally just recreated like the 19 movies up to Endgame. And I was like, how would I do this in a comic book? And then after that, I never did anything with it up until like 4 months ago. And I was like, oh, I think I should actually. I want to do superheroes. I don't want to do just like any kind of superhero. I want to do something that's different and fun. And so I was like, oh, I have these food superheroes. What should I call them? And my wife and I were trying to think of all these different names, and I was like, well, I like the chefs, but what would it stand for? And finally, I was able to, Culinary Heroes Earth Force. Um, so yeah, so it's just so the first book is chefs, pasta la vista, and
No,
Yeah,
let me put you right there. The name Pasta La Vista that came from Allie, if I'm not correct,
yeah.
right?
When we were doing that, we were doing that 24-hour comic book challenge, and she just kept throwing out all these food pasta puns, and one of them was pasta la vista, and I was like, oh my gosh, like this is so cringeworthy. I love it. I love it. So it's funny, yeah. So I have like a special like cameo in the book for Allie, as well as Christopher C. Because so like the hat you're wearing, I on the Patreon I was like, this is the chef's logo. It just said Chefs Colonial Heroes Earth Force. He goes, it's missing something. You should put a chef's hat somewhere. And I was like, oh, I should. So it's on top of the S, and that's what completed it. So I'm putting it there. So what I like about this comic is I've had a lot of help from people giving input on what to do. But yeah, that's where Pasta La Vista came from was
It's
Allie.
funny, I was gonna try to surprise you and have her come on here.
Oh,
Yeah, but she couldn't make it. So yeah, I just talked to her because she had to work. But yeah, I was gonna surprise you and have her be like pop up and be like Pasta La Vista, you know.
Pasta La Vista, bitch.
Yeah, that's what some food puns in. But
Yeah.
so I mean, we're talking about food puns. I mean, it's almost endless. It's almost like you have like a giant like library or pool to pick from as far as food puns because you can almost turn anything in the world into some kind of a food pun.
Yeah. And it's definitely like when I'm writing it, it's hard because I always have to remember that this is like supposed to be like I'm used to like writing really serious comics. Like Demons was very serious themed. Same with Entity. There wasn't a lot of jokes in any of those. And this, it's supposed to be a fun book. And I want people to have a silly goose time while they read it. And so there are moments where I'm like, where I've written it, and as I start drawing, I'm like, gosh, this is so serious. Like we don't have to deal with this. Like I just drew a scene with two of the characters, and they're having dinner together, and the original dialogue was so heavy, and I was like, oh, this is so depressing. Like this is supposed to be a fun book. So I was like, okay, let's just add some food puns. Let's add some food puns, and also I have to always have to make sure that they're eating in this book because it's food. So you think
Yeah.
that they need to be eating at all times.
Well, I mean, you can balance. I mean, look at the boys. You know, you got so much humor. There's a lot of humor in that with a lot of seriousness to it. You know, so it's like
That's true.
you can almost play off it a little bit. But I mean, you're talking about food puns. You're talking about superheroes. I'm like, they're soup or heroes. SOUP.
See, okay, here's another thing is every time I talk about chefs, everyone else comes up with better food puns than I can cuz I'm not I what I've learned making this comic is I am not creative. I am not I'm like that's what I've learned is making this is I am not creative. Like when my favorite genre of book is like anything by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips, and I like those comics because I'm like, man, it's all I gotta do is guns, drugs, and talk about real life crap that people will have to go through. And when I'm doing something like chefs, which is really creative, I'm like, gosh, I have to come up with all this crap like from my head, and I'm not creative. So everyone's come up with the best food puns. Everyone else and Google.
Well, that's what I was trying to use Google a lot, but dude, it's like as far as the creative side goes for that, like I said, when anytime you're writing anything, you always think, oh, I suck. Everybody's got better ideas, you know. But it's like the more you invest in it, I bet you'd be surprised, especially since you're switching genres. Since, like you said, you've always been used to writing like criminal type of stories or more noir type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That doing something like this, especially writing humor in any way, is real difficult because anything that I find funny, everybody else might be like, "That's so stupid."
Yeah, that's the thing is I'm like it scares me to like put any kind of humor in because I'm like, gosh, do people like is someone gonna read this and go, wow, Tyler is a moron? Like that's what I feel like when I'm making some of these jokes.
That's gonna happen. That's gonna happen. I guarantee it'll happen. Anytime you write any kind of humor, you're gonna have somebody be like, "That one missed. That one hit. That one missed." You know.
Yeah, and the main thing it's the humor is there just to break up the tension, I guess.
As it should be, I would think, unless you're kind of go full comedic comedy.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm not trying to go full on Captain Underpants.
Yeah, what was it, like Shirtless Bear Hunter?
Oh, geez. I don't know what that is.
It was an Image comic. I actually have it. It's pretty damn funny. It's about a guy who's shirtless and he fights bears, and he's like hired by the CIA to
Oh,
take
that's
out the.
hilarious.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of like tissue puns, like toilet paper puns and stuff like that.
I love that.
It's pretty funny, but it's like Ren and Stimpy style. But yeah, so how many issues are you planning on doing on this? Are you just doing one volume straight like you've done for your other books? Or well, I shouldn't say other books. Like Undead Row was one volume that you drew for West Nodell. Like Demons, you had 3 issues. Entity was just 1 issue or 1 volume, which I still haven't gotten.
Yeah, your copy's right here. Like, what happened was you didn't fill out your survey.
I forgot. Yeah, I forgot to have the old address.
Yeah, I haven't. I need to before like the end of next week. I need to get out everyone who filled out their survey last. I need to get their stuff. I still have people's commissions that I gotta send out. I have this weird thing where if I don't get if I don't get people in the first batch, they wait like an extra month or 2 because I'm in a new mode. I'm in a new mode here.
It's all good. It's all good.
But yeah, to answer your question, it's gonna be in. And I'm debating this. I'm still trying to figure out what to do with it. I tried writing. So all my books, even though I've kickstarted them all. I'm excluding Undead Row because that was Wes Nadell wanted me to do in a graphic novel format. All like Entity was supposed to be like 5 single issues that were going to be released monthly. That was always the plan. And then when the publisher dropped it, I was like, okay, I'm just going to crowdfund this as a graphic novel, so I don't have to do 5 crowdfunds. I can just do 1. And then Demons, each Demons book has 5 issues in them, and I just compiled them into 3 graphic novels. So I mean, technically there's like 15 issues. There's 15 issues of Demons that I compiled into 3 graphic novels. So for this, I'm writing it the same way I normally do. Is I'm writing 3 issues. I've written 3 issues, and then I'm just gonna release them in graphic novel format. And I'm trying to figure out like if I should like after like for if I should release them in issues and then just throw them up digitally. Like you can get like issue 1 for $3 before the Kickstarter, so you can read it beforehand. Or if and then the Kickstarters, I'll just crowdfund the graphic novels. I'm trying to figure that out. But if we were just to do the graphic novels, then I have planned 12 graphic novels. So that's, and if I were to break that into issues, that's 36 issues that are each 20 pages. Okay. So each graphic novel 60 pages.
So they're gonna come in one. You're gonna send them out in one like crowdfund, or you're gonna do separate them up, break them up.
Yeah, I'm gonna break. Well, so each book, each graphic novel, well, that's 60 page. Each 60 page graphic novel will get its own crowdfund.
Gotcha. Okay.
Which is basically, I'm married to this series for 4 years.
Now, I mean, everybody knows, you're just saying you're not that creative. Well, if you're not creative, you definitely make up for it in work ethic. Because I think you pull, I mean, I don't know where the hell you get the time to do half the stuff that you like actually pull this stuff off with. So, I mean, give us just a simple breakdown from when Tyler wakes up to when Tyler goes to sleep. What happens throughout the day?
Yeah, ideally, this is my ideal day, and I was actually doing this. Let's see, what's the December 8th? We're on to what, December 10th right now. From December 1st to the 5th, this was my schedule, and it was awesome up until life smacked me in the face. I woke up at 5 a.m. and then I drew till 7:30. And that was enough time to get my inks done of a page. I draw real fast, and my plannings, I do a lot of prep so that my line art my inking doesn't have to take so long, and I'm doing it digitally. And then so I would have line art, and then once I was done with the line art, I would then import the file from my Mac onto my iPad. And then on my lunch break, and then I'd go to work, and on my lunch break, I go to this gas station and there's like this abandoned Subway restaurant that's attached to it, and they said, yeah, you can just draw there if you want. Like no one will
What,
bother
your own
you.
little private Subway studio?
Yeah, exactly. So then I go to this empty Subway that no one goes into, and I draw there for an hour on my lunch break, and I'll try to color as much of the page there, and then I'll get home, hang out with my family. If we're watching TV, I'll try to color. I'll try to color the page. If not, once my kid goes down, I'll finish coloring that page, and then I'll then spend like 20 minutes doing the prep work for the next page. But then after that, I'm kind of just like I'm done, and I'll work on something new. Like I'm putting out draw and talk videos. I'm right now trying to start I'm trying to start a business for 2021, a marketing business, because I need some more money. So I need some more money. But yeah,
Well, you're
that's
new poor, so yeah, new poor. So
yeah. I'm new poor. Yeah, I'm new poor. I'm new poor, so I need that new money. Exactly. So yeah, that's it, my typical schedule. And here's the thing: is if I had all day, I could probably do 2-3 pages a day on chefs, just because the line art doesn't take me that long. Um, I'm really fast. I'm pretty quick. I'm pretty quick at drawing, and a lot of the coloring. Like I cheat with a lot of the coloring and like stuff I use I use myself as reference a lot, and then I also will like use like this action figure a lot, and then obviously I have to manipulate it afterwards when I sketch it, because like this arm is completely wonky, and the female one's even worse. But like I use those figures so that I can just immediately like get a build really quick on it, and also and then I have a lot of backgrounds that I use, that I'm able to get done real quick. But yeah, that's my ideal day though. Is I wake up at 5 a.m. and I just start going at it, and it's
see,
tiring.
that is very tiring. See, I think maybe because I work overnights, my schedule's so weird
Mm-hmm.
that I'm always trying to find time, and it's so hard to make a schedule because my sleeping pattern is so erratic. That
Mm-hmm.
it's like it's so hard to find like that right medium. I just try to get what I can, but like that's the thing that's been killing me is like I've been trying to get better at quicker line work, but I'm just so anal about like getting it so like perfect in pencils that when I go to ink it, especially traditionally, it makes it look so much better. But it takes me so much freaking longer to do the line work. You know,
Yeah, like my workaround for that is I've just gotten used to going straight to inks. So I don't spend very much time penciling, but most of my pencils are just like the outlines, and then I just go straight to inks, and it's kind of scary.
and we'll get
Danny,
to that.
that's hilarious.
Danny, yeah, I was gonna show the chat here a little bit. Yeah, my roommate Danny just put this up. Let's see if I can get it to pop up here. There we go. This may sound bananas, but I find this very appealing. It's good to watch you two catch up.
That's awesome. See, here's the thing. You see though, that is freaking creative, and I would never come up with that in a million years. It would
Well,
be
you gotta hire Danny. Danny should come out here. You should hire him to do all these food puns.
Zumi said a marketing business for comics. No, this is not. This business is not comics related. It's completely separate. Um, yeah.
And we got Cavalry here saying Breadsticks Unlimited was so much fun and it felt like a great intro to the world.
Oh, thanks. Thanks.
Yeah,
Yeah, I had fun doing that.
I was gonna start reading because Britton told me, he was like, "Yeah, it's really good. The cliffhanger's really good." And I was like, "Britton, are you just overcompensating because you made fun of demons? That you're just gonna say
Yeah, when Britain said that, I was like, oh my gosh, like Britain enjoyed it, which is not a bad thing, not a bad thing at all. Yeah, with the that was a dork. With that Breadsticks Unlimited, it was so I was trying to like figure out how to do everything. I'd never colored in that style. I'd never drawn a comic in that style. So it was like my big tester. Like how do I do the shafts? How am I going to do it? And also by the end of that 12 pages, like I've learned after doing so many comics that after like the first 4 or 5 pages, I'll know if I want to keep doing this or not. So like I've worked on people's comics and like within the third page, I'm just like I hate this and I don't want to draw this anymore. Whereas like with Chefs, by the time I was done with those 12 pages, I was like, gosh, I want to keep drawing this book. And it's the same right now with Pasta La Vista. All I want to do is keep drawing this book. And I mapped out the other day. I stayed up till midnight and I mapped out all 12 books on what's gonna happen because there's a definite end for like this saga that I've created with these characters, and I put them through the ringer, and I'm so excited to tell those stories. They're going to be a lot of fun, but it sucks because I have to, you can't skip to the end. Like everyone wants to tell their end game story, their Infinity War and end game story. Well, you've got to do the work beforehand.
Yeah, that's the smart thing to do. Is that I've heard so many creators say it, and I find it to be almost the golden rule when it comes to writing: is get your ending done before you even start. Know what your ending is before you even start your intro. Know how the story's going to end. And the best analogy I've always ever heard is that think of it as getting in your car and not knowing where you're driving. You're just going to be going all over the place.
Yeah,
you don't have a destination, but if you know where you're going, you know what path to take. So
and then like, and you can plan like readers. Like I don't like it when people treat the customer stupid. Like for example, here we go. I'm gonna say this story. So I was watching New Girl, which is a great show.
No, I like to watch the Schmidt is freaking hilarious.
Yeah, he's hilarious. Okay, and in the very first episode, Schmidt and CC meet, and like they kind of have like this little duke off, but then like they walk off and they go away. Anyways, so in the towards the end of like one of the seasons, Schmidt has to get rid of this $5 bill, and he can't get rid of the $5. And you find out that the $5 was because, and they do a flashback to the first time that they met, and he acts like a douchebag to Cece, and she goes that you need to put $5 in the douchebag jar. So he pulls out $5 and he goes nah, and he puts it in his pocket. I'm gonna marry you one day. And then after that, it cuts to like him proposing. So there's Tyler who's like, oh my gosh, like this, like what really good writing, they set this up. So then I was curious. I was like, wait, I don't remember this scene. So then I went to the first episode, and that scene didn't happen.
Really?
Yeah, that scene didn't happen. So then because that scene didn't happen, it took me away out of it because I was like, wait, this wasn't planned. Like they didn't have a plan. Had that scene happened, and it would have, and it foreshadowed 4 or 5 years later, I would have been like, oh my gosh, this is so great. But it wasn't in the first episode. They just made it up in that episode. I mean, it was still fine. But all I'm saying is when you get to the end of a story, like the reason why in Endgame when Captain America holds the hammer, the reason why that's impactful is because in Age of Ultron he almost does it. And Thor's like, oh, like, is he going to be able to do it? But if they hadn't done that planning, it wouldn't be a big deal that he had the hammer. But they had a plan. They knew their ending, and they just threw out little Easter eggs. Like I'll say right now for Chefs, the very first page of Chef's Pasta La Vista, there's reference to a man named the Pantry Master. And he's just mentioned in 3 panels. They talk about him for 3 panels. Well, really just 1 panel. His name is mentioned, and we're not going to get to him until books 4, 5, and 6.
Well, I mean, that's totally good to do. I mean, I actually heard Larry on the stream the other night talking about like filler issues they do, where sometimes you might not have anything to do with the main story, but you might put a little thing in there that might set up a storyline months in advance. So that's kind of what that is. It's like you're peppering in something so people can go back and be like, wait a minute, they did talk about this in the past.
Yeah, like in like the start of book 2, there's gonna be an event, and it's gonna seem like, oh, like this is filler, like this is there's no point to this, like this 2-page scene. And then in book 4 of Chefs, it's gonna be that 2-page scene that might think like, oh, it's got nothing to do with the story because the story's going a different way. in book 4, that what happens in those 2 pages in book 2 is actually going to be what causes all the problems in book 4. Um, so I'm
I
just
think it's
yes.
the
So it's
side. Yeah, I'm gonna have to read it to keep up.
what?
Like I said, I think it just went cross-eyed trying to keep up with all that.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is like, but the thing is like, for me, I know that I know all this stuff because I'm the creator, and as a
Yeah,
creator, you have to know, okay, if I throw this in here now, when am I going to resolve it? And I go, I'm going to resolve this in a different book, so it keeps people going. Oh, I remember this.
I always think like Robert Kirkman, and I say this in like a good way, but like he likes to f with his audience. You know, he likes to take them in a direction and then just slap them in the face with something you don't see coming that he actually mentioned way previously. That you're
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, you know, and he always like loves to troll his audience like horribly, and it's a good thing because it keeps them engaged and on their toes. You know, especially if you got fans that are interested in what you're doing. But yeah, I mean, it's to sit there and come up with a whole plan like that. Like, how long does it take you to sit there and like, you know, okay, you got book one, and where do you want to put your event at, and then how are you going to resolve that? Are you going to resolve that in like one book, or are you going to resolve that over the course of the series? You know, like how do you decide all that? Like, how fast do you want the event to take place, and how impactful do you want it to be?
Yeah, I think it just depends on what that event is. Um, so like, for example, those that one panel where it says, I'll just read it because I have it up. He says the main antagonist of the entire series. He says, "I made a deal with the pantry master about her release. He promised her arrival here on Earth tonight at this location." And so immediately you are now, and on the very first page of Pasta La Vista, you have 2 questions now. Who is the pantry master? Who is who is she? And then an additional question: why does the pantry master able to release this woman? Like, who is she? Why is there this guy who named the pantry master who's so powerful? I guess, and that question's there, but I don't. But I feel like as a creator, I don't need to resolve this question. I'm just going to foreshadow what's going to happen in book 4, 5, and 6 because really we're trying to set up the main antagonist of our story in this, and we're using this exposition to kind of set up different aspects of the world. So I think it just depends. Like I think whenever I write a book, I always say, okay, like what's the goal of the book? Like what's the goal of the book? Who's the antagonist? And what's kind of like the message? And so I knew, okay, book 1, the antagonist is named the Archetype, and we need to learn about him. And then what do we have to what do we hope to learn? We need to learn about trust because Dairy King doesn't trust anyone because of what happened at the end of Breadsticks Unlimited.
Well, I was
Um,
just going to ask you too. Maybe that is the answer to this question, but like, what do you want readers to take away from like chefs when they finish the like let's say the first arc here? So what you have planned, like when a reader finishes that last page, like what do you want them to like say?
yeah.
Like,
Okay.
no.
Okay. Yeah. What I hope. So when someone reads Pasta La Vista from the beginning to end, what I hope they see is they see Dairy King because the book mostly focuses on Dairy King, even though it's a team book. Each book focuses, by the way, everyone. It's a team book, but each book focuses on one character of that team. So in Pasta La Vista, we're going to focus on Dairy King, and I hope that when the readers open up the book, they see a broken character named Dairy King who has gone through this terrible experience in Breadsticks Unlimited, and it's affected him now in Pasta La Vista. And then I hope that by the end of the book, we see him resolve the conflict. We see him become not a better person, but we see him change. Um, he's resolved some of the aspects that hurt him. Because I think it's important that by the end of the book, your character has changed in some way or form. Otherwise, he didn't really like. What was the point of that? What was the point of that story if they didn't grow? So hopefully by the end of the book, the aspect that we learn that we see that Dairy King is struggling with, we see that he's overcome that. If Dairy King's got 5 problems, well, we're going to focus on one of those problems, and hopefully by the end of the book, he will have resolved that one problem.
So then by the last volume, they're all going to be getting together, basically.
Yeah, something like that. If you guys didn't read Breadsticks Unlimited. Spoilers. But yeah, at the end of Breadsticks Unlimited, you learn that the chefs are no more. So they've been around for around 7 years at this time. By the end, yeah, they've been around for 7 years, and then at the end of those 7 years, something happened that we don't know, and the chefs are no longer a team, and Dairy King is now just this depressed hero, and he doesn't want to work with a team. He doesn't want to work with anyone at all. He just wants to be by himself.
It just hit me. Dairy King's Nightwing, and this is like Teen Titans on the DC universe, isn't it? They had a breakup after an event. He's all broken, and he brings them back together.
Something like that. That's Pasta La Vista, and it's really it's really the setup. I mean, it's hard to do a team book when you have so many characters. You have to introduce them in this book. You have to introduce the antagonist, introduce the world a little bit. There's a character named Carter Gaines. His character's superhero name is Microwave, and his daughter is in a wheelchair. And we don't know why she's in the wheelchair. We just know she's in a wheelchair, and we're like, we'll deal with their character arc in the third book. But we're gonna set up who they are in the first book. It's been so. I have it like all mapped out like right here in like a Google document to just keep everything like straight.
Well, it's good anyway. Whatever works for you. Well, the transition here a little bit, since we're talking about chefs. I was gonna talk a little bit more, with your YouTube. I know recently some of the videos you've done, you've more so done what do you call it, like
commentary,
but it's more so been like trolling kind of headlines, because it's like you get people thinking that you're about to bash the shit out of somebody, and then it turns out you're actually not. You're giving them actually constructive criticism. In a way, So it's because I've seen so many people be like, I saw the title, I didn't even read it, and I wanted to be like, you're an idiot. It's like that's not what it was about,
Yeah. Someone was like, I did that one. It's my latest one. It's called Theory. Mariko Tamaki will not make Detective Comics SJW, and I had people going like, you said SJW, so I'm not like watching it because you're right wing. I'm like, chill. Like, I gave her props. Like, I analyzed the situation. Everyone's video was saying Mariko Tamaki is gonna destroy Batman because she's an SJW, and my video was like, I don't think she will. But I got a lot of hate for it because I said just SJW in my title, and people assume the worst.
It's because like you just said, every video out there is like slamming her about it. So when they see that, they just assume, okay, I don't need to watch this video because I've already watched like 10 others that have made me upset. Mm-hmm. But it's like, so it is kind of funny because it's like you're giving them credit. You're doing something different than all the other guys that are just shitting on it. Because you don't know. I mean, even there's been people that I didn't like that have done something. I've been like, that's good. It's actually good. So it's like just because you don't like somebody doesn't mean you have to be an ass about everything that they do. It's be objective about anything that they do. You might be surprised sometimes.
Yeah, and I'm trying to figure out like what to do with my channel for next year because there's so many people that do commentary videos and they get some hits. I mean, they're so easy to make. You just have to hit the record button, talk for like 7 minutes and hit post. And I do a little bit more editing work than that. And my thing with that though is that I do these commentary things, and I'm not really a commentary person. I just want to make comics. That's like the thing that I want to do. So I'm trying to figure out like what do I do with my YouTube channel, because I've done so many different kinds of videos, and a lot of people come to my channel because they're like, oh, like I want to learn how to make comics. And for me, I'm like, gosh, I don't know how many more videos I can make on how to make comics. Like, yeah,
I mean, I've talked about that doing mine, with the interview channel. It's like, the interview side of it. It's like you see so many interviews done that, I'm trying to get more software to try to make this more of an interactive type of thing. Something that's a little bit more different than the straightforward, question answer, question answer, question answer that everybody gets all the time. But it's
Mm-hmm.
hard to do. It's hard to try to find that niche and run with it. But
Yeah.
we'll go to the chat here a little bit. I mean, like anybody that's watching, I went to school for radio and interviewing, but I kind of broke my golden rule on this one just because I've known Tyler for a while and we always talk all the time. So it felt like if I was to actually sit here and script out questions, it would be kind of stupid because it's like I know off the top of my head what I could ask him. I could bump his balls about not buying the house next door for the whole stream too. Let's see. We got the flock here. He's saying, if I get this to click. There we go. Unplanned Rycon is a destroyer of story development.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because people see it. People like know. They go, because immediately if that happens, people go, oh wait, like that's not real. You did this in issue number 1, and now you're saying in issue 10 that like it doesn't happen. So yeah, I 100% agree.
And then the previous comment to that one was in 2021 is going to be huge for indie comic book creators, and the competition is going to be so fun.
Yeah, it's nuts because I was talking to Nicholas Mueller. I commented on his Facebook post. He was saying that there's so many books that are going to be crowdfunded in February. So, like a lot of people are crowdfunding in February, and so there is a lot of competition. But at the same time, yeah, I don't know, but yeah, it's gonna be an interesting year, which is why I think it's just important. When Zumi said, "Are you doing a marketing business for comics?" Comics for me are fun. I really I love making comics. Like that's all I want to do. But I'm pretty realistic in the fact that I know that I probably won't ever make a living with this. The only way I can make a living on this is to be able to put like, Tim Lim numbers on their Common America books. Like if I was doing, because they do 3 campaigns a year. So if I was doing 3 campaigns a year that each were doing 100,000, yeah, I could do this. I could make comics full time. But I can't. But right now, like I didn't make any money on Entity at all. So that's why I'm making my own business on the side in 2021, because that's where I think I can make more money besides the day job that I already have.
Well, it was interesting that it was brought up that comment about like the industry for indie comics, and I heard somebody bring this up too, which I guess would kind of be a hope, but it's like with the success of all the money that the indie books have made, in this past year, would that in turn almost force DC and Marvel's hand because they're seeing that the growth of the indie comic scene that's all that money that went to indie comics could have been gone to them. But that's all the people that have been, felt disenfranchised and are like, screw this, I'm going to go a different route. So somebody had this theory that it might, in a turn, force DC and Marvel to be like, you know what, we got to stop this crap because it's not working. All the money is getting pushed towards indies, and they might have to force them to come back to selling books that people like. Do you think that could happen, or do you think DC and Marvel is pretty much just lost at this point?
That's really hard. Yeah, that's really hard because I haven't bought a Marvel or DC comic in a really long time. I really haven't. Like I used to be an active Batman reader, and now I might buy like a digital issue on Comixology for $1 to read, but there hasn't been really anything that stood out to me. Whereas right now I'm starting to get my like dipping my toes into manga. Well, we got Larry freaking Higgins in the house, Bullet Club. I've been getting really into anime and manga because their writing is way better and their prices are way cheaper and they're more affordable and they're better stories. I've actually been having this, and we don't have to talk about this. I don't want to derail the show, but I've been having a superhero Batman and Superman like story crisis. where I'm actually really I don't like I'm kind of sick of DC and Marvel at this point. I don't think they're putting out good stuff, and I'm kind of angry at all the stuff that I have bought because I'm like, gosh, these books are kind of I don't want to say stupid because I love all the Batman books I own, but
Crap.
but okay, so I'm reading manga, and I'm reading manga or manga, whatever you want to call it, and it's one creator per book who has created their single story, and they have a beginning, middle, and end. And then you have people like you and me, Justin, and I could write Batman for 5 years, and then you could write Batman the next 5 years and have a completely different take.
Oh yeah.
And my worst thing is I was reading Joker War, one of the latest arcs in Batman by James Tynion the Fourth, and it was this huge event. Batman lost all of his money. There's all these riots. Joker is taking over Gotham, and then finally, it's Batman Joker once again in this big battle, and then Batman wins. But get this, what happens at the end when Joker gets captured? Oh, he got away. And when I read that, Justin, I was so freaking furious. I'm just like, why is Batman? And the reason why I say this is because in manga, the character always starts really weak, and by the end of the story, they're just like super powerful. They're super powerful. They're unstoppable. And I feel like after 75 years, Batman should have like fixed the problem of Gotham. Like, he should have fixed this. Like, there shouldn't be any more problems in Gotham, but there are. With Superman, he's already the strongest. Why can't he beat Lex Luthor? Like, why doesn't he just go, Lex, like, problem solved? Like, I just don't, like, so I'm getting kind of sick of all these superhero stories because I'm like, gosh, like, there's no character, like, Batman hasn't improved himself as a superhero in 10 years. Like, he hasn't improved anything, and I don't know. That's such a weird, like, derailment.
The only thing I bought recently, I mean, I just went back to the store, but I got the new Daredevil. Well, I think it was like issue 18 or something, but it's an interesting one because, like, Zdarsky starts off where Daredevil actually kills somebody by accident. He actually breaks his rule and kills somebody. So right off the bat, you're like, okay, this is already different. Like, this is already, he's already broken his golden rule and he went overboard and killed somebody.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, so he already starts off with a nice little wrinkle there. But that's like you're talking about not buying DC or Marvel books. That's like one of the only Marvel books I buy is Daredevil. Just
Nicholas,
because
Eternal Scrap says, Tyler, are you saying Batman should kill Joker? And then Nicholas Mueller says the problem with the big two is they're not allowed to grow the characters and always have to return to status quo. This is why, and I'm about to get a lot of hate for this, this is why I really liked Zack Snyder's take on Batman and Batman vs. Superman. I know a lot of people hated that movie and it's not perfect, but a lot of people were angry. They're like, Batman doesn't kill. And I was like, but I loved it because I was like, gosh, this is a Batman who he keeps losing and losing and losing. His house is burned down. Robin's dead. I'm so happy that he's killing people now because, yeah, if I was at his point, I'd be like, yeah, I'm so sick of this shit. I'm killing everyone. I'm killing all you bad guys. And I really appreciated that Batman decided to start killing everyone.
I forgot who proposed it. It was some YouTube channel, but it was about, like, should Batman kill Joker? I'm like, at this point, fuck yes. Yeah. Like, how many times does he need to capture him, have him go to prison and get away and kill more people? Like, how many times are you just going to go through that cycle before Batman is just insane?
In the three Jokers, Jason Todd shoots one of the Jokers in the head, and I was like, oh, I'm sure that felt fucking good. like I was just like, I'm sure that felt so freaking good. And yeah, like I'm just like at this point, at this point in an anime or manga, the characters would be so overpowered that they'd be going against like super powerful villains, but they're in like Batman at this point still can't take out some like homeless clown.
Yeah. Well, Nicholas Mueller says manga allows for full, complete stories, which is why more people are heading that way. People want conclusions.
Yes.
That's true, but isn't like Attack on Titan, isn't that still being written?
But it's ending. No, it's ended.
Is it ending now?
Yeah, it's ended. But like One Piece is still being written, and it's like 900 plus episodes, but it's ending next year. But still, like, okay, but here's the thing. Here's this, Justin.
They don't have another writer take over, though. That's
no, it'll be over.
Yeah, that's why it's good, because you don't get the delusion, a different writer's take and all that. It's that person's creation.
It's like this is their creation. I go to Barnes and Noble, and I see the a Batman book. It's Sean Murphy's White Knight, Curse of the White Knight, and it's $27 for like the really cool hardback. I was like, dang, $27, that's intense. And then I go, okay, and I see One Piece, and each of those books are $9.99. So I could get 3 One Piece graphic novels for $9.99 for the price of Sean Gordon Murphy's Batman White Knight. And there's like 300 pages in each of those graphics. So I'm getting like 900 pages for $27 instead of like 80 pages for $27. But even better than that is if you download the Shonen Jump app and you pay $1.99 a month, you can read 100 issues a day.
Yeah,
100 issues a day, $1.99. I mean, that's a kill.
It is a hell of a deal. That's why I love my comic store, because you can buy 2 trades at the equal value, and you get the third one for equal or lesser value for free. So, or you could buy like 2 compendiums for $60, and then get 3 trades that equal $60.
That.
Yeah, it's a crazy deal. It's the Eternal Scrap says this could be a problem, or it could be what makes them great. Don't look at the entire life of the character as one big story. They are isolated stories that each creator can tell their tale.
Yeah, but that's the thing though, is like you can have like Scott Snyder's Batman, and he's a guy who struggles and he doesn't understand the city, and then before that you have Grant Morrison's Batman who is just like the best at everything, and like that's why Grant Morrison made sure that Batman was the best, unbeatable, because of the 70 years of history he had on him. And then you get Tom King's Batman, and Batman is a crybaby the whole time. So that's why it's just the character is so inconsistent. It just depends on who's writing it. I'll have a different take than Batman than Justin, and vice versa. So it's really, it's just really, it's hard.
Nicholas Miller, this is a good point. Joker's death toll hits 1,000, and Batman's like, nah, he gets to live.
Exactly.
I'm just like 1 million now.
Exactly. Like I don't get it. Like, and also like Joker in that comic was able to like fist fight Batman. I'm like, come on, Batman can't beat this guy up. Yeah,
like Batman and Joker fighting, it's like Batman's trained as an assassin. The Joker's got acid for or whatever on him. It's like, this should be over in 2 seconds.
Yeah, I'm like, this is a joke, and this is why I think when I was talking with John Dillard on my channel about his comic book The Buckler, he brought up something like the Buckler's power level, and it's something I didn't really think about with chefs. Like, what is the power level of my characters? Like, is Dairy King just strong? Is he just like strong? Like how many people, how many people can he fight before he gets he gets overcome, and there's too many overpowered, and there's too many people. And so I've made sure that like as I go through the series that like by issue 1, by like book 1 in Pasta La Vista, you'll be like, oh, DK's pretty strong, and hopefully by book 12 you'll be like, holy crap, like DK is way stronger now. Like, he is way more powerful. Because right now with Batman, I'm like, gosh, I don't know what his strength level is, because one day he's beating up Darkseid, and then the next he's getting his ass kicked by Joker.
Eternal Scrap says, the Joker War was kind of a big joke. Like, everyone in that actual story was saying, oh, guess it's another Joker War event. Lock your doors. Is that true? I haven't read it. So is it like a big, like, is it like a breaking the third wall type of thing? Like,
no, it was... It was really good. Like every issue, I was like, yeah. Like, oh yeah, this is getting really good. Oh, like the stakes just kept getting raised, and then in the climax, it was just really flaccid. like in the climax, they fought Batman. You know, he figures out a way to win, but then Joker got away, and I was just like, why did Joker get away? Like,
Brando brings up a good point here. It's the courts letting Joker off. You know, pleads insanity, gets off every time.
Yeah, it's that crap. That's why I don't pay my taxes, because I don't want. I'm not.
That's a good one.
Yeah. No, but you know, one thing, okay, so one thing that I really liked about Scott Snyder's Batman was I felt like with Scott Snyder's run there was like a beginning and end because at the end of Batman Endgame with Scott Snyder is Batman and Joker died. And I thought like that was a really good ending to their arc, and then they did the whole Jim Gordon's Batman, and then at the end like Bruce and Joker came back. But I still felt like okay, like this is like a complete story. Like Scott Snyder's run is a complete story. But it's still hard to like know to like keep up with all this stuff. Like I read an article saying that DC's trying to get rid of of continuity. Like they're just gonna like create stories instead that have got no like bearing. Like I could write a Batman story, and something happens, but it doesn't have anything. Because right now, if Batman does something in Metropolis, that like affects the Superman comic and vice versa. So right now they're just like, let's just make comics, let's just make stories.
Here's we got Larry bringing up when it concerns the big characters, we have to assume all their true stories have already been told. That's a good point. And what we see now is people's own visions of said timeless characters. That's a good point. Because it's like, especially Batman and Superman have been around since the beginning. You know, it's like how many stories can you tell that are different? They said we're not worried about canon if the characters are times, so we are just going to tell stories you want, sort of thing.
Well, that's why I like Grant Morrison's Batman run. Like most comic writers just dismissed a lot of like Batman like lore, and Grant Morrison said no, everything that happened in the Silver Age and the Golden Age happened, even if it's super wacky, it happened. And like he alluded to all those things, and so when you read Grant Morrison's Batman, the reason why he is so overpowered is because he's so experienced. Like and he addresses like, yeah, there was one time where I was in a rainbow costume, that was weird, and yeah, I have fought dinosaurs before. But like that's just because, but I'm also super strong, I'm super awesome now. And it's because of all this history that I have. So I really appreciate that Grant Morrison like said, you know what, everything that's happened to Batman has happened, and now it's just like keep making the character stronger and stronger and stronger. He was basically doing what they do in anime, where they keep making the character stronger. Everyone's like, yeah, like by the end of Grant Morrison's run, Batman killed Darkseid in Final Crisis. Like that was like Grant Morrison had Batman kill a god. Yeah, it's just yeah. So comics right now.
That's Grant Morrison. We got Wendy Gale in the chat. How you doing, Wendy?
Yeah, she's apologizing because she chatted me. I can chat you back after this, Wendy. Yeah, dude. But yeah, I haven't bought a DC or Marvel comic in forever. I think the last one that I actively read was Sean Gordon Murphy's White Knight, and after that, I've just bought indie comics. That's really it, and just worked on my own
That's kind
comic.
of I've been this whole year. Just been crowdfunding, and I mean, I've been like I said, I just got back to the comic book store like 2 weeks ago because I want to get my Gideon Falls stuff, my Jeff Lemire. Like, I still like the Image stuff. You know, there's certain Image books that they put out that I can still enjoy, and there are very rare DC Marvel stuff that I'll still, like I said, Daredevil I'll still get just because I think it's solid storytelling. But other than that, yeah,
yeah,
it just one of them.
And it sucks. It just sucks. Like, it sucks having this feeling like of I want to buy and read Batman every week, and it just sucks that I don't have that feeling anymore. Like I used to be hanging out with friends, and I used to hang out with friends when I was single and be like, oh guys, like can we really quick drive past the comic book store, like the new issue of Batman came out and I want to read it tonight. And like I just remember like getting giddy, like the new issue came out, I gotta go to my comic book store. And now I don't have a reason to go to my comic book store currently, and it's pretty sad. But yeah, I have no reason because there's no book that tickles my balls lately.
I know what you mean, dude. I used to get that feeling too when I first started reading, like Walking Dead. Like, oh my god, it's Walking Dead Day. Like I get to go up and get the news. It's like I couldn't wait for that to happen. But now it's just there are, like I said, there are very rare titles. Like Gideon Falls was killing me because I wanted to finish that series, but it's not as abundant as it used to be. And I've only been reading comics like 6 years, so it happened in a quick span. But here's a good thing though: is that years ago I did an interview, and I think I shared it with you the other day. It's Frank Barbary, the guy that wrote Five Ghosts and what's it called, Violent Love. When I did a podcast with him a couple of years ago, he started asking me questions about how I got into comics, and he brings up a good point: is that there's so much backstory and there's so much backstories of all these characters that we've never read. So everything is like brand new to us. Like there's so much old Batman books that I don't own that I can go and buy from like classic like stories that I've never read Infinite Crisis on Infinite Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just as an example, like there's a lot of like old Marvel and DC back catalogs that I need to go and read.
Exactly.
So I could do that in the time being, in the hopes that maybe they come back or they figure something else out.
Yeah, like that's the nice thing. Like with comics and like the genre of comics, even I'll put manga into the genre of comics, is that there is still so much to catch up on. Like right now, if I wanted to get into One Piece and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I can't catch up to like the new stuff because they're like on book like 9, they're like on graphic novel like 99, which would take up my entire closet. I could still go, okay, let's start doing this from number 1. And I could just start slowly making my way. Brian Michael Bendis had like a really good like 10-year run on Marvel where he killed it. And I read a lot of those comics and I was like, gosh, this is so good. I could still read those. There's a lot of issues that he did that I haven't read. There's tons of Batman stories that I haven't read. There's tons of Image series that you could jump on. I've never read Invincible. I've read parts of Invincible.
One I want to read too.
Yeah, exactly. I want to read that one too. There's a lot of issues, so it sounds really expensive, but it's something that I want to do.
That's why you need to come up to here to Illinois so we can go to the comic store so you can just buy 2 of the compendiums and you can get the 3rd one for free.
Oh, that's such a good deal.
Actually, if he does do that, I could probably just buy them for you and send them to you.
But I also got no money because remember I'm new poor.
I'm new poor. You'll be middle class poor.
But that's another thing.
Showed up. Hey, Ichthus,
what's
up,
up,
dude?
Ichthus? That's another thing though is
oh, it's an alligator. I thought it was a pickle.
Is right now the price of comics. I'm like, just because of like, life, and everyone right now needs money. Like for me, something's got to be good, these days to really earn my dollar. I'm getting a little more picky with my crowd funds. I'm probably gonna start backing more digital issues on crowdfunders just because I'm new poor. I can only afford your digital comics, and then I think like people need to take into the like account price point. Like right now, my big thing I'm not liking is these $25 books and $10 shipping. In comics right now. That's like the Comicsgate model where you do a 50-page book, it's $25 and $10 in shipping. I don't like that. And then they don't offer a digital edition. I don't like that either. Nasser has a book called Aesol on Indiegogo right now, and the physical book is $10, and then his digital book is $10. And I'm like, gosh, why is your digital book $10 as well? I don't like that.
It does seem kind of odd, yeah. Hold on, let's see if we can hear this. This reminds me of you. I don't know if you can hear this.
Give me money. Money me. Money now. Me a money needing a lot now.
Yeah, exactly. You know what's funny, dude? The only reason why, for this new marketing company I'm making, I've been up till midnight every single day this week trying to build it out. I'm almost done with it, so in January I can start making money off of it. But I was in the shower, and I was like, gosh, to buy a house it's so expensive, and like all of our savings is drained now buying this house. I need to make money. And also I was like, okay, do I make a ton of comics, or do I do something else? And I picked the something else because comics is hard. Larry says, what I see is crowdfunding books I can get 3 months later for $5 no shipping at the comic shop, like White Widow, Lady Death, and some of the books from Scout. Yeah, that's the thing. If you get published, like I didn't know those books were with Scout. Then yeah, people are going to try to get it at the cheaper price because I mean, like why not? That's why I really appreciate like what Tim Lim and Mark Pellegrini do with their books. It's $10. Their 50-page book is $10. And they can do that because they get they can order thousands of their books, so it doesn't cost them a lot to print it. Whereas my book, Entity, which was $20 free shipping, well, each book cost me $12 to make. So you go $12 to make it. You're averaging around $5 to ship it, so we're already at $17. It's $1 a Gemini mailer, and then tape, and then I have to do the bags and boards. So really, each book is probably costing me like $22, and I'm losing money. So yeah, it's intense.
So
It's hard making comics.
Yeah, the Fly comic guy, I just want to share this, is that he said he's been treated negatively in some local comic stores lately. I just had this discussion with somebody at my work because I was telling them about when I started getting into comics. I don't know what it is, but like the reason I ended up at the comic stores I go to is because they're real awesome, they're real helpful, and I've been in other ones where the guy's just like, he could give a shit that I was in his store, and it's just like, do you want to sell a book or not, dude?
Which is crazy because they're like desperate for business now. Like when I got into comics, I was on Pirate Bay trying to download music, and and there was an advertisement. There was an advertisement that was like, Joker's lost his face. What's Batman gonna do? And I was like, Joker lost his face? That sounds like kind of interesting. Click on it, and I was like, oh, I need to go to a comic book store. I've never been to one. I go to a Atomic Comic Shop in Tacoma, Washington, and I walk in like I've never read a comic. I've never been this. And a guy goes, what are you looking for? I go, man, I don't know. Like, can you help me? And he goes, what do you like? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, this is my first time. He goes, I mean, there's a lot to choose from. And I was like, you are not helpful, man. Like, you right now have the opportunity to take my comic book store virginity, and you are not doing a good job.
Yeah.
That cherry was not popped.
Yeah, some of them just aren't. Like before I even got into them, I was buying the Walking Dead compendiums for my sister because that's what this all started off as. And I walked into the store and I was asking him, I'm like, where do I start here with the Walking Dead? I'm like, I want to buy my sister the books, but I don't know which ones to start with. And the guy kind of like half rolled his eyes, and I wanted to be like, listen, you son of a bitch. It's like, you want to sell a book or not? Like, I'm here to buy. I don't know about any of this shit. Okay, so it's like, you need to tell me. It's like, I'm putty in your hands. You could literally take me down the hall and I could sell me like $200 worth of crap right now, but you're like totally just being a dick.
Which is why, by the way, like comics are so daunting because like when you read manga, you look at the bookshelf and it just says One Piece, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and onward. And you go, okay, there we go. And then when it comes to comics, you go, okay, I want to read Batman. Well, do you want to read Batman New 52? Do you want to read Batman Pre-52? Do you want to read Batman Rebirth? And you go, oh, I don't know where to start. Well, they go, and then they go, well, according to continuity, and you're like, okay, I want to read, Rebirth. And they go, okay, well, it doesn't take in fact to the world of New 52. And you're just like, oh my God. And it's just so hard. And then they go, what's this? You go, well, this is a comic book issue, but then you can turn it into a graphic novel, but then also there's these omnibuses, and you're just like, well, which one do I get? And they go, well, the omnibus is more expensive, but it has 100 issues. It's just nuts.
But I'm trying to think here. Larry's in the chat here. Let's go for the Critter Miner on Kickstarters. Best customers are always thinking, what is the best deal? I mean, it's true. Like, it goes back to the marketing. Like, you have the success of the MCU and how big that's become. Like, you'd think that would transition a little bit in the comic book sales, especially the younger kids that are going to the store, like, to go see those movies. And I always said, why isn't Marvel giving away free copies of comics to like kids under a certain age at movie theaters?
Yeah, but also why
give them a tour book?
Also, like, why at the height of the MCU was Iron Man in the comics Riri Williams?
Yeah, that's true.
Why at the height of out of the comics was Hawkeye, Kate Bishop, who, by the way, I love Kate Bishop as Hawkeye in the comics. She's a great character, but still, why is it that when people are like, oh, Captain America, and they go to the comic book shop, Captain America's old and the Falcon is Captain America? Why is it when they're starting to like Chris Hemsworth because he's sexy and they want to read Thor and they go in and it's Lady Thor? Like, it just was not good marketing at the time.
No, DC and Marvel they're absolutely terrible at it. It's like they almost just take it for granted that people are just gonna know. Oh, they'll know, but it's like no, it's like people don't know, It's like people just forget. Like there's so many people. It's like I'm reading comics. Like, dude, they still make comics. It's like exactly because most regular people don't even think that they make comics anymore.
Yeah, my friend Brady was like, dude, what do you do for fun? I was like, this was a couple years ago. And I was like, yeah, I make comics. He goes, comics? Like, do they still make those? Is that still a thing? And I'm like, yeah, that's a big industry.
Let's see. The flag here says one shop of my owners that keep playing board games and never help customers find books or suggest treating the shop like a hangout instead of business and makes me walk away. I get that. My old comic store in my shop, he used to do the Magic the Gathering stuff, but he said it himself. He's like, I wish I didn't have to do this because he's like, the only reason we do this is the supplement income. It's like the only real reason. Other than he's like, I'd love to just sell books all day long and not have to worry about it. And then, we got Chuck in the chat too. We'll get to
Give me a second.
Yeah, and then he says it's fun to have a hangout spot, but you need to be run like a business, especially now. Let's see here. What's going on, Chuck? Chuck's in the chat. We're going to be winding down here soon. The books at the Kickstarters and then go through Scout and such. Those are exclusive runs and separate from their publishers. They're rare creators' own versions, so they make them special. Actually, Chuck, I don't know if you saw the interview I did last week with Jason and Marcus from By the Hordes. Their book is published by Scout. I actually never heard of Scout until last week. So that was a learning experience for me. I didn't even know that was a real company, or a company, I should say. But let me see here. When we're winding on a second, my roommate wants to tell a food pun joke. Hey, Danny! Let me get him in here so he can tell his food pun joke. Hey, yeah. We're gonna be winding down here, but my roommate wants to tell a food pun joke.
Well, it's not really a pun, it's a joke. So you got a broccoli, a walnut, and a mushroom. Again, loaded at a bar. Broccoli stands up and says, "I am broccoli, and I look like a tree." Walnut gets up immediately after, slams his drink on the bar, and says, "I am walnuts, and I look like a brain." Both of them stare at Mushroom, and he doesn't bother to stand up. He goes, "I'm Mushroom, and I fucking hate this game."
I get it, but it's dirty. Just for that bad dad joke, I'm raising your rent. All right, guys. Well, hey, it looks like Tyler might have just accidentally deleted himself from the stream. I think that joke was so bad. There he is. Hold on a second. Hold on, Tyler. Let me add you again.
I couldn't when I got back, I couldn't hear anything.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Britton says that joke sucked. Fucking Britton, yeah. Danny wanted to tell his joke about a mushroom looking like a penis.
Oh, that's funny.
But yeah, dude, thanks for having me come on and.
Dude, heck yeah! I postponed this so much. I was like, I have to do it.
Dude, it's cool. Before we even got started talking, like the first 2 times we were supposed to do interviews, I overslept like 2 years ago, and I'm like, oh, this guy's never gonna talk to me again. There's like twice he kept trying to have me on. I kept oversleeping. I'm like, yeah, he's never gonna talk to me again.
No. Well, so my wife and I were flying out to Wisconsin, and we get back on the 28th, I think at night, but that's the day we're supposed to close on our house, and so she's like, maybe we can like reschedule the flights. And to reschedule it, it's going to cost us like an additional $200. I'm like, oh, we'll freaking figure this out.
That joke was so bad it booted.
That's funny. I came in. I'm like, who's this guy talking? That is hilarious.
Oh, Danny with his dad jokes.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, dude. Thanks for having me. I hope that people sub to your channel. I hope that
Yeah,
happened.
hey, dude. After last week, I got 5 more. I'm gonna, keep doing this more and more, and the more people, especially that I don't know that I come on, it's gonna draw more of a bigger audience in.
Yeah, dude. Like people.
I'm not trying to just focus this just mainly on comics either. I want this to kind of be. I'm just starting it off with comics because that's just what we're all into. But like, dude, I'd love to get into anything really. If somebody's got an interesting story about whatever, I'd like to have them on.
Like people will say like, "Oh, Tyler, like you have like almost 4,000 subs," and which isn't even a lot. But I'm like, man, like I've been doing this for like 3 years, like every day.
Yeah, it can burn you out.
Yeah, but you got like that's what it takes to constantly grow. I mean, Justin, this channel from when it was called like Fictional Reality.
Yeah, I think there was like 28 subs at the time.
Yeah, it was just so embarrassing that it was called that. But yeah, like you just go through phases and stuff.
I guess Brenton's got the final question here before we take off. He says, does your wife come in and ask you to stop hanging out with your internet friends?
No, I'm pretty like she's freaking awesome, and I always like what I do. I always tell her like, hey, I'm gonna go stream with someone for X amount of minutes. I always let her know. I always coordinate with her. I try not to do it as often because we gotta nurture the marriage, the relationship, and hang out with each other. But like she's really cool. I mean, I lucked out. If any of you guys are single and stuff, here's my advice. If you guys are into comics and into doing YouTube videos like this, both of those take a ton of time, so you better marry someone who is okay with taking that much time. Either marry someone who's okay with that, or you better start waking up super early and doing that.
To kind of go with the food stuff too here, I was going to tell you, can you start calling Ren Pickle? That way I can call Grayson Little Gherkin.
Oh, I'm sure she'd love that. Be like, hey. That's fine, dude. My kid, when we were in Wisconsin last, we gave my kid a pickle. We thought he was gonna like do the weird face, and he ate the whole thing.
Oh yeah, dude, pickles are awesome.
Yeah. Like this says, Ren is the real MVP. Yeah, man, I'm telling you guys, like the amount of time I spend doing comics, I make YouTube videos, and then I'm also starting like this other business. I mean, Ren's been super cool, and supportive. I mean, the fact that I even told her, I was like, hey, I'm starting another business outside of comics, but I'm still going to be doing comics and YouTube. Like, she could have just been like, no, like you're done.
Ren's the MVP, but make sure you tell her from me that I said I hope the Packers lose in the first round of the playoffs.
That's hilarious because I told her this. She was like, hey, what time's the interview tonight? I was like, I think it's at like 9:30. She goes, oh my gosh, who's it with? And I was like, Justin, he's a Bears fan. She's like, oh, fuck him.
I'm always giving you guys shit for that, though.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, thanks for having me on, dude.
Yeah, man. Hey, thanks for everybody watching. Like, subscribe. Next week, we'll have another interview next Thursday. I will post the details soon. And thanks, guys, for watching. Later.